The Fearless Podcast, in a time of deceit, telling the truth, is a revolutionary act. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Fearless Podcast. We are at episode 56.
Episode 56.
So
Good to be here.
While we've been on hiatus, we come back strong, back-to-back podcast episodes.
Yeah.
Because we are not slackers. We got to be productive. We got to produce. So that's what we're doing.
On the internet.
And it's good to have Matt
finally
taking a little break from the construction world to join me on the podcast.
Yeah.
And what have y'all been up to?
We've been busy. We did a house remodel, pretty much a full entire house remodel, painting a whole entire house, refinishing hardwood floors, then totally redoing a bathroom, gutting it to finishing it. It was great. We learned a lot of stuff along the way, and the lady was really, really happy at the end, which is always good. Customers happy, super happy. And then 2 days after we left, she once again texted me and said, "I've been looking at all the small details that you've done above and beyond." And she was just really happy about it.
Very nice.
So it was really great.
Yeah.
Literally the best customer we've ever worked for. And we were going to take that weekend off because we ended that project on Thursday or Friday. And we went ahead and we had already sold another job, which was a really big fence job. And it was 1,500 feet of fence that we had to run, several different angles and everything like that. So we were trying to work around the weather and everything like that. So we went ahead and we picked up the concrete, the trailer, got the buggy loaded. And then we saw that the weather was coming in. We were going to start on Monday, but we were like, well, we don't want our concrete to get rained on. So we worked through the weekend, not on Sunday, but that Saturday, all Saturday, setting 12 steel H braces and everything like that. And anyway, so that made it for a very long week. And then we hit it off again Monday, Tuesday, finished the job on Tuesday. And now we decided this whole entire week is a rest week. So just chilling out.
Very good. How's that going? How's that resting going?
It's been doing really good. We've been crazy busy here. Just mowing grass, weed whacking. And it's restful. It's compared to
work until 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been really nice, been able to think back on the days and different things like that. So it's been good. And then sold 2 more jobs. So the Lord's been really good. And we're going to be starting another big barn renovation on this coming Monday. So
wow, you guys are busy. So
yeah. So it's been tricky trying.
Matt's going to jump in on a podcast here and there. Yeah. Since I'm semi-retired, I can kind of do this at my leisure. But no, unfortunately, I am not semi-retired. Although lots of people like to think that I'm semi-retired. I get harassed a lot about it. But anyway.
At work, they say that you're semi-retired.
Yeah, because I don't work on Fridays.
Because you work your butt off?
Because I work my butt off when I'm at work, and then when I come home, I work my butt off.
Because you've worked your butt off for a decade, and now you're reaping the rewards of working your butt off.
That's
so
true.
That's true.
So
it's the young guys come in and are like, why is the old experienced guy not working as hard? Oh, okay. Because he put in a decade.
Well, because I've developed all of these work judo skills where you can leverage, and so I get more work done in 4 than they do in 5.
Exactly.
And it's doesn't mean that they don't work hard.
No,
it just means that I have the experience and the leverage to do the old judo roll and judo chop. So,
all right.
So
we're 5 minutes in. We're
5 minutes in. So
there you go. That was the cap.
We're going around the farm.
Around the farm.
So what's new on the farm?
New on the farm, we got hay done.
Hay.
So the hay guy came on out and he baled a neighbor's pasture, which I'm managing that. There's about 20 some odd acres over there, 20 to 25. We got 35 bales off of that, which was great. And then over at the ranch, there's been lots of awesome stuff happening over there. it finally stopped raining. So we could go pick up our new bull, which was awesome. Haven't officially named him or anything like that.
We got a new low-line Hereford that is polled.
And he is actually a low line, not a miniature, which is great.
And we took our previous bull and had him processed, Shorty, and he filled up a freezer for us. So that was awesome.
And we got
Rest in peace, Shorty.
We got Shorty back, and meat is awesome.
Yeah, it's good in my tummy.
The thing with him was, even though he was gigantically fat, we wish that he had a little bit more fat.
Yes, more
like marbling,
intermuscular fat.
A little bit more marbling in his meat. So when we saw that, we were like, well, instead of going 100% down the Hereford route, what if we do Baldies? So that's when you take a Hereford and then pair them up with a Black Angus, or as people around here call them, black cows.
Black cow.
Got black cows. That's what we raise.
Hey,
black
what do you
cows.
run? I run black cows.
Black cows. So a black cow is an Angus, a black Angus. So anyway,
for all you non-Texas folk.
So we got Herefords and black cows now. And we went and picked up 2 mamas. Well, they're actually just heifers.
Yeah.
Last week sometime.
Yeah, last Saturday. When I was stuck.
And from a very nice, sweet elderly couple. And
yes, awesome people.
Awesome people. Got a
neighbors.
really neighbors. Yeah. We got a pretty good, decent deal on them.
Yeah, we got a great deal.
And we are going to market. They're going to be they got a couple more coming for us, actually.
Potentially 6 more.
6 more? Okay. Yeah. I didn't know the number, but
yep.
We got to go and see them too, as they're, little babies right now, and they're going to be growing up. They got beautiful pastures out there. But anyway, so cow update. We're doing good. We're finally getting cows in and everything like that. But we ran into an issue over at the ranch. Not really an issue, but anyway, it's starting to really get like kind of overgrown and crazy over there with all of the winter rye, the oats. They kind of have now fully matured, and now they went to seed, everything like that, which is great. But I was like, well, since we don't really have any enough cows to keep up with this, and with all the rain and everything, I think it would be really good if we would hay it, cut all of that stuff off and then let it grow back up. Because when all that grass goes to seed and everything like that, it'll actually die and then kind of suppress all of the new growth that wants to come up. So that's what we did. We got 15 bales off of it, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
And really excited. And I actually found a hay guy that he actually calls back
and shows up on time.
And he shows up he said he wanted to do it Thursday.
Okay.
And then on that Tuesday,
ahead of schedule?
Yeah. 3 days ahead of schedule. Was like, hey, I can start today. And we're like, let her rip.
Maybe was he feeling well? Maybe he had a fever.
I don't know. But anyway, they got it all hayed up. We got between the 2 properties like 55 bales or so. And we got non-sprayed organic hay for $35 a bale, which is awesome.
Killer deal.
So killer deal. I think we're going to do some bartering with the hay for possibly some rock and stuff like that, which is great.
And we don't really need the hay. We might barter with some of the hay, and we might sell some of the hay. And then we're going, Lord willing, if the rain keeps coming up, which it's looking like it, we'll get a second cutting too. Awesome.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that I didn't have to pay to cut the hay.
Yeah.
So check that out. That's a pretty awesome feeling.
Yeah. So since the last cow we sold, we were able to take that money and buy the hay. So that was really cool.
Very nice.
Yeah. Really awesome.
Very nice. So that is what, and I don't know if you know this or not, but your mother, first she was pontificating.
She pontificates a lot.
Junior,
bless her heart.
Junior is talking about he wants something to milk, and you guys had that experience pretty much at his age.
Mm-hmm.
So we were originally talking about
in dairy
I don't know if it was a Katahdin. We talked about there was a a goat and milk, and Mom was talking about that.
Oh,
but I can't put them in the food forest because they'll just girdle the trees.
yeah, they'll destroy
So
it.
after we talked it out, we might be getting a milk cow again.
Yeah,
Milk cow with a baby.
with the baby. Yeah,
We might do that. I think it would. I love raw milk, so I'm super down. Even though,
if we can get, that's why I told Mom, if we can get a dairy cow with the baby, if you can get and then keep the baby, first off, you'll have an incredible
calf share
yearling that if he is a bull, you'll just be able to raise him up and then butcher him, and he'll be a sweetie pie, and everything like that. But if you do have one with the baby, and you don't just instantly sell him off or her off, if it's too hot outside, or if it's raining, or if it's cold, you just let it nurse the mama cow. That's kind of the
gives
awesome
you a lot
part.
of flexibility.
Yeah, exactly.
You get some good beef out of the deal.
And we don't need loads of milk.
Nope.
Like, the only thing that we're really using dairy in our day-to-day lives is really just
heavy cream
to put in our coffee. So that's pretty much the only thing we're going to be using it for. Maybe a couple other things.
Maybe homemade ice cream.
Maybe some homemade ice cream.
Maybe homemade butter.
Yeah, that'd be killer.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that, since we are on the carnivore diet, or a very heavy ketogenic diet, is we consume a lot of fats through dairy, which is butter, at least for me, is butter and the heavy cream.
Well, since we're talking about it, why don't we go right into health check?
You can go first.
That's kind of why we've structured this the way we have. And it's why on the podcast and different things we say, we talk about faith, food, family. I think food is a missing component. I would love to talk about the trip that I took. I visited the Northeast recently. It was very traumatizing. And maybe your mother and I will do a podcast to talk about this, because I could start to do about a 45-minute rant, and I don't want to convolute this podcast because we have stuff to talk about and all stuff. So anyway, health check. So we are over 1 year carnivore, and I am continuing to improve with this whole shoulder ailment thing. My sleep continues to improve. So last week, and speaking of my trip and everything, traveling was always so traumatizing to me, because whether I was in the car for a long period of time or on the plane or whatever, I would get all contorted and contracted and my neck would hurt. And so whenever I would get to wherever I'm at, I would just be in severe pain. And then I couldn't sleep, of course. And so I'm away, but I traveled home. I slept great, not in my own bed. And then there was some traveling shenanigans, and the plane was late, and I got to meet up with a very old friend that I hadn't seen in like 15 years. And his family is in Dallas, and he took me in as the homeless man that I was. And I spent the night at his house and slept fabulously once again in another place that was not my home. And, my sleep has continued to improve. And so what I've added in now is fasting. So I've been fasting for the last 2 days.
That's awesome.
So I'm real close to 48 hours. So I might be over 48 hours. And I've added in just some electrolytes. So I'm drinking some electrolytes. And then I drank 1 32-ounce of beef bone broth.
Awesome.
Yesterday, kind of at dinner time. Wasn't really hungry, but yeah, serious clarity, serious energy. I watched this crazy like vegan documentary on fasting, and the fasting part was really good. All the crazy wacko new ager and all the vegan stuff was pretty terrible.
It's always funny. You can really laugh at it. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, but the fasting stuff is fascinating. These people were fasting they did a 20-day water fast and then a 20-day fruit juice fast, and the healing properties are astounding.
From the fasting.
It is. So I'm 2 days in. I don't know how long I'll go. I feel great. I haven't even slept that well. But Still have tons of energy.
That's
feel
awesome.
wide awake, total clarity, no brain fog. I got up super early. I had to go look at. Had to go to Frankston, Texas today, so had to be.
How far away is that?
That's like an hour and a half away,
Okay, it's
and
a
I
pretty
was
good drive.
so concerned about being late. I showed up a half an hour early. So before my support staff was there, I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to chill here in the truck and, meditate and gather my thoughts and just think about how
meditate in a
good God is.
non-woo-woo way.
Yeah. The Bible talks about meditating upon the law of the Lord and all that stuff. And I was just being very thankful, counting my blessings, and had a great day. And it was a road trip kind of day. I put on a lot of miles today, but it was good. And so I've been doing the intermittent fasting. A couple weeks ago, I started back in with curls. I can do arm curls now somehow. So even with the bicep relocation and all that stuff. So like I said, somehow the joint continues to improve, and all health components continue to improve. And I'm talking to family members about this, and they're very concerned if I've checked my cholesterol, and they want to know if I have gout. And I had a family member that says, "And you don't have gout?" And I said, "Not only do I not have gout, the tendonitis in my elbow went away, the bursitis in my shoulder went away, and the bone spur in my heel went away. So yes, I don't have gout, nor do I have any other inflammation markers in my body, and my neck tension and the tension in my middle upper back
telling
went
me
away.
It's as easy as changing your diet?
It's as easy as changing your diet.
No way.
And
it can't be that easy. There has to be like a drug or a shot or something.
And you don't even have to like count your calories or anything like that, and you lose weight and you stay at an optimal body weight. You don't need Wegovy. You don't need semaglutide shot injections, which are being pimped by Vitamin Shop.
No way.
Vitamin Shop is pimping fat injections, which is a very interesting,
crazy,
wild marketing scheme. But yeah, my health check is I am super off the charts. So if I say pre-carnivore, the bar chart, if I was on a graph, I'm still, whichever way y'all are looking here, I'm still going up. So
that's good.
It's onward and upward.
That's good.
And I'm super pumped and feeling great.
Good.
And there aren't enough adjectives. So take it away, Matt.
That's awesome. Yeah, my health check's been doing great. I don't know. It is insane because like I've put up, to make this analogy anyway, I've done fencing not on the carnivore diet, and then I've done fencing now on the carnivore diet. And if you don't know, when putting up massive amounts of fences, you got to use augers, and you got to use the old T-post pounder and everything like that.
Got to use muscles,
and
like
it's a full body workout, and it's intense. And normally, if you go 2 or 3 days straight with putting in a fence, it will take you several days. I've known in the past of recovery, and your whole body will hurt, and it's like awful, right? But I've totally have no aching or anything in my whole entire body from putting up that big old fence, which there was several of us. But even after fencing in the 15 acres, I was totally destroyed. So, yeah, really been enjoying, still working out and everything like that. Been seeing lots of progress in that. I've been fasting pretty much all today, while working, and have been doing really good. Still not hungry. I'm probably going to eat though tonight, probably get a burger, but pretty much just intermittent fasting today from this morning. I did start off this morning with a thing of coffee with some butter in it. But after that, haven't eaten anything except for drank a couple quarts. Probably I'm on my 4th quart of electrolytes today, with some creatine in there. So anyway, so that's been doing great. And with training, I got inspired today after doing an hour and a half training session while listening to good old Jim Rohn, which is so fascinating. I was multitasking. I was writing down and getting inspired by Jim Rohn and working out at the same time. So it was kind of awesome. And then writing down my goals for the year, because I already accomplished my goals.
What do you mean? What do you mean you already accomplished your goals? You can't, if you write down annual goals.
I wrote down my annual goals and they all came true within 6 months. So
what do you mean they all came true? What is this, like a wish list or?
Pretty much. Okay. Yeah, it's insane. So it's awesome. And pretty much all of James and Buddy's goals have pretty much all came to fruition, which is kind of insane. Which the funniest thing is, for James's goal is on the top of his list, which it was at the start in January, was that he wanted to get an e-bike this year.
That's right.
And like a couple weeks back, a company sent him an e-bike. So it's kind of hilarious because he just put it on there for kicks and giggles. He was like, I would love to get an e-bike this year. And then,
okay, y'all. So hold Matt accountable, because
we're going to make it. We're going to do it. We all the footage is shot. Now we just have to do pretty much the wrap up of the video. And then it'll be all done. The bike is incredible. It's like awesome. But anyway, that'll be a video coming out pretty soon. But
better,
after doing the hour and a half workout today, I felt inspired. I was like, I wonder how far I could walk with like a sack of feed on my back. So
50 pound
sack of oats, and just set a goal to do a mile today. Haven't walked or ran a mile in over a year now. So didn't know how far I was going to make it, especially with a 50-pound sack of feed on my back. And walked it and was able to keep on working the rest of the day. So I got done doing that, and then I hopped on the mower, did a bunch of mowing, weed whacking, and definitely tapping in it. And while in a fasted state, I don't know, because I kind of was tapping into some of that Anthony Chafee stuff, like, not feeling, tired, not getting worn out, muscles not being sore, the stuff that a couple months back, and listening to him, like, how is he kind of like triggering this stuff? And try, that's the amazing thing with the carnivore diet, is you can kind of tweak stuff all the time and like really learn a lot about how your body works and stuff like that. And I think with this fasting thing is definitely one of the keys, or one of the steps to unlocking that just incredible superhuman almost strength.
And I think that's one of the reasons, obviously with biblical fasting, we're not fasting per se for the medicinal or the positive physical attributes of it, as much as we are from a disciplinary standpoint, restraining ourselves so that we can focus on God and prayer and different things like that. But it is incredible, like all of the things that the Lord wants us to do, how there is that if we do obey and we do these things, there are temporal benefits to all of them, just like there's incredible benefits to giving, and even giving sacrificially. Given it shall be given unto you, and all that, and all those things, just like if you don't eat, the logical thing would be like, well, you eat for energy, right? And then what you find out is when you don't eat and you fast, you have more energy. And it's fascinating, and it's healing, and all these different things. One of the things that I've been experimenting with the carnivore diet, inadvertently, accidentally, so to speak, is the longer I'm on the carnivore diet, the less I want my meat cooked. And I know I've talked about this. And so I eat my hamburgers incredibly rare, barely seared on both sides. And it's very interesting because a short popped up or something, and it was Anthony Chafee short. And he said, the human body has the ability to eat raw meat. And I was like, okay,
if it doesn't have a bunch of toxic, nasty stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
And he mentioned beef tartare, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember reading about that. So I looked up beef tartare, and beef tartare is raw ground beef with a raw egg yolk on top. So it's two. If you listen to modern Western food philosophy, you're taking the two most toxic foods, cooked or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then by not cooking them, they're even more dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are dangerous things. And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not telling you what to eat.
However they say that.
Yeah, E. coli and salmonella and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But beef tartare is a raw egg yolk over raw ground beef. So I am barely cooking my hamburgers. I usually put a slice of Swiss on the top, and it is like off the charts. I can eat 4, which basically equates to 2 pounds of ground beef. And the other thing, since being in a year and on carnivore, I always needed a minimum of 2 pounds. Now, most days I eat once a day, and I can pretty much get by with a pound to maybe a pound and a half, pound and a quarter.
Yeah, that's the thing. I only eat once a day. When I tell people that, they're like, wait, you only eat once a day? That's insane. But I think there's a lot, even with the whole fasting thing, or even intermittent fasting. There's like this weird thing with the human body. Like, food is such a drug to so many people, and being able to conquer that and just be like, nah, I don't need to eat, and just being able to do that is so awesome. And for me, being able to, over the year, slowly, it's been a process, slowly dwindling it down to only eating once a day. And then even when I do want to go eat, you know, I I can choose not to, and have the power over that, you know. But anyway, the other thing too, which is kind of hilarious for me anyway, is I had some people, they were offering me some food and other stuff like that. And I cherish my one meal a day so much that I want it to be like, it's kind of like the celebration for working hard, right? So
you don't want to ruin it.
I don't want to ruin it, So I'm like, I don't want to load up on trash food. Like, I'm always thinking about like the incredible burger. I've literally had burgers for like for the last month or two now. And that's the only thing I've eaten, literally. And they only get better and better. Like, it's like awesome. That's the only thing I've been eating. And we got the Blackstone grill with the flat top on there, so it keeps all the juices in. Take the charcoal grill and throw it off the mountain, dude. It's that thing is garbage. I'm sorry, but that thing is garbage compared to that flat cast iron griddle, dude. And you put half a stick of butter on there and get you like half a pound of beef, and you sear that thing on both sides. And I do put some cheese on there. I do put some cheddar jack on there, and then I put a thing of Colby Jack on there, I think, too. And pepper jack. Yeah. And anyway, it's incredible. Super awesome. So yeah. Somebody was commenting, canteens fast. Yeah, you can absolutely fast. I would say, kind of the thing with the whole vegan thing is that once, when you're going into the fast and coming out of the fast, you definitely want to be taking in the right nutritions, that will be helping you get ready for the fast. And then also,
Matt is not a doctor.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor either. So this is all for, comedy's sake here.
This is
it's a comedy show.
This is what we do. This is not a how-to or a recommendation.
But anyway, so yeah, definitely want to make sure that you're eating the right stuff before and off a fast.
So I want to go into the next segment. That is the verse of the day. And if you haven't listened to episode 55 with Hakeem from Above Phone, I want to encourage you to do that. And the verse of the day was inspired by a question that Hakeem asked me. And he asked me, he said, did you see this new law that they've kind of snuck in about the draft? And they're going to be drafting our young men and women and the rest of the Rainbow Gang apparently, to fight their bankers' wars and to, blow up and kill people and, do all of these kind things for the UN nation state of those and for the Ukrainians and all these other things. And so it made me think of Psalm 94, verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? We will not be complying with any type of draft because it violates our conscience. It violates all the things that we hold holy and dear. It is certainly against our religion and all the things that we understand that are right and good in the world. And it's diametrically opposed to that, helping the deep state and the bankers and all of the military industrial complex, so that the district of criminals and they, them, and those don't get any dirt under their fingernails. And we will not be participating and have no desire to participate. And you can frame it mischief by a law all you want, but we will not comply. And God is not happy with you. And you can frame it under some pseudo UN nation state of Israel and all this stuff. And you can pass anti-Semitism laws where you literally can't read the New Testament scriptures and what it says, because if you do, it's deemed anti-Semitic. And we are in Clown World 3.0. So I'm going to have to update the t-shirt. We are no longer in Clown World 2.0. We're in Clown World 3.0. And, the state of Texas and Wheels and all these and 38 other states have these ridiculous forms that you have to sign that you're not gonna, it's so insane, y'all. It is Clown World 3.0, but we march on, and you can frame mischief by law all you want, but we will not comply. And if it goes against the law of the land, then it's de facto defunct and it's irrelevant anyway. So that is the verse of the day. We do want to encourage you to go on over to TheTexasBoys.com. Currently, our only payment option is PayPal. We have been debanked by our credit card processor. We are in the process of rewriting the entire website on WordPress, and we're hiring somebody to do that. We're just waiting for them to get everything lined out. It's going to take us a couple weeks. We have gotten many, many emails about folks that want to order. Thank you so much for supporting us, and hang in there. We're going to get this fixed right. Once and for all. Hopefully. And this shouldn't happen again, Lord willing. But if it does happen again, we are having local meetups. So always check our website. Our next meetup is going to be in July. I don't think we picked the Saturday yet. It is going to be at Bob Wells Nursery at Sorella's Farm in Mineola, Texas. So Ed and Rachel have agreed to host us there.
It will be on a Saturday.
It'll be on a Saturday, and it will probably be from like 10 to 2. So we're going to extend it, make it longer so we can hang out. Maybe we'll bring the Blackstone, and maybe we'll grill some.
Maybe it won't fly out of the truck at 70 miles an hour.
Yes, and it certainly won't do that, because this time we will put all the proper strappings on it. But that was fun.
Fun.
So now, as we move into our next segment, I want to pull up a video, and we can listen in.
Cool.
Let's put our listening devices on.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
All right, I'm going to throw this up here.
Because before this, before I started working on this, dude, I knew nothing about any of this, right? Like, I came into it cold turkey, and I was asked to look at China's largest meat company buying the world's largest pork company, which was based in Virginia. And at the time, Congress was kind of freaking out, like, is China buying, our meat supply? And so I was asked to look into it because I had this background in digging into Hong Kong financials, where this meat company was publicly traded. And I went to China. I talked to folks in the US. I talked to people in US intelligence. And it turns out, yeah, like the Chinese government was behind this purchase that's effectively 1 in 4 American pigs. And the reason is because the Chinese government kind of clued into something before other folks, which is that in the 21st century, food is power, right? Like you need to control food to control your political future. And so the Chinese government began putting into these 5-year plans that they put out an effort to go overseas and begin buying up food and water resources so that they could control it.
So it's a strategy that was happening.
Definitely.
Right.
Yep.
And so they want to get the pigs because that's a source of food.
Yeah. It's a source of food. And that's a source of, for China, political stability.
Right. If you have food, then the people will eventually follow you. It's like, yeah, you'll do anything to eat.
Yes. That's exactly it. And like I've now traveled the world. That was like the first food story that I looked at, and I thought like, okay, it's a story about food. It's a story about farming, so I was surprised when then I'm talking to US intelligence people, right? And then I'm talking to like people in the Defense Department, right? Like all of a sudden food is this like big national security. And so as I began traveling the world, I began going to other countries where those governments were using the food supply to control the population, right? And I think that's what people are worried about going forward into the 21st century, is that by controlling the food, you can control the people.
Right. They're just thinking, okay, how do we need to control the people next? How do we still have control over people? And they start to look at what could become a scarcity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they believe it's food.
Yeah, exactly. And so like the country I had gone to was Venezuela. And Venezuela at the time was having all these food riots, right? Like people, you would go and you'd work your 9-to-5 job, and then you'd come home and there'd literally be a 1-mile long line to get into the grocery store. And there's no way you're going to work like a 10-hour day and then stand in line all night, right? And then go back. And so, I was talking to these guys that were working class, that had jobs, and they were literally eating out of dumpsters. I saw these dudes eating raw meat, right? And he's like, I've got a job. He's like, I just can't afford food. And so then I went to this, like secret location, this warehouse full of food, after watching people like starving people scraping by, trying to survive without food in Venezuela. I went to this government warehouse full of food on a Sunday when it was supposed to be closed. And who was there? It was a bunch of Venezuelan military and police. They were open. The government was opening it up. And these guys, these big buff dudes, were wheeling out cartfuls of food that like I hadn't seen in like my 1 week there. And they were giving the authorities were giving the police and the military, the guys that were knocking down the population, food so that they would, of course, continue to control the population.
Wow. But how do you start to see that it becomes a bigger story though?
It was crazy, man, because I just started seeing these dots, like these stories that you would see around the world, like, oh, this country is running low on food and its people are migrating out, or like this country just bought up, like half the farmland in like Madagascar, right? Like when I think Daewoo out of South Korea made like a secret deal for like half the farmland in Madagascar, and then the people rise up and overthrow in the countries in civil war. And you begin seeing these stories, and then you begin being like, oh my God, like all of these seemingly separate stories are all connected as part of this like bigger trend, right? And that's when I began tapping into people who were beginning to follow it, like in the shadows, right? Like the government, the intelligence community, others were beginning to sort of piece this together. But for my reporting anyway, it appears that like it really was the Chinese government was probably the first to wake up to this, to really tap into it. And there's a reason for that. The leadership of China went through the Great Famine, right? Like Xi Jinping has told stories about living through the Great Famine, which was the late 50s, when estimates are that 37 million people died as a result of starvation.
In China.
Wow. Yeah. And so when you go through a period where you're looking around, and dude, I've heard, stories I don't even like to tell because they're so awful, about what it's like. If you have 37 million people that actually died as a result of starvation, that means you got like 100 million people that are close, right? And people are just like doing desperate, crazy things. And so when the leadership of China can remember that, like they are more keyed in when that trend starts, poking up its head, when there are these, when there are these forecasts that things are going to get more and more dire in the future, they moved quickly to begin to sort of control food and water supplies for their population.
Yes. One thing I think that is lacking is this perspective of, China started doing this to protect their population because they remembered what it was like to starve and all these different things. But that's a bait and switch, because China began doing it for control, not necessarily for their own population, because China does lots of things to abuse their population and social credit scores to abuse their populations, and lockdowns, and welding people into high rises to not let them out, and all these different things. So I think the thing that kind of got lost in this now, this was an excerpt, so I'm not castigating it or anything like that, because it is a soundbite, for lack of a better term. But one, China discovered this first, and you are neglecting the fact that our country has been helping make our food system completely monolithic, totally synthetic. I mean, myplate.gov and the food pyramid and the corn subsidies and the soy subsidies and all these different things that are systemically destroying our food supply and making them monolithic, transnational. So we just heard that the largest China beef supplier just purchased the largest hog processor. So you have some monolithic stuff going on there. We know about JBS in Brazil and everything that's going on there. So we have these monolithic structures, and basically what they were saying is, control the food, control the people. And then it kind of reverted to this whole thing of like, well, they remember what it was like to starve, so they're actually doing this for the good of their population. That is absolutely incorrect. Not only are they not doing it for the good of their population, they are doing it for the not good of our population. And it's all about control, and it's all about destroying the supply chain. And this is why we say, grow your own food. This is why we say, know your farmer. This is why we say, shake your farmer's hand. Not everybody can grow their own food. Not everybody has a pasture. That not everybody can raise cows. Not everybody can have chickens and do all these things. But you must, if you desire to eat, you must develop that network. When I had Trinity Vandenaker on, and if you haven't listened to that, it was excellent. But we talked about keeping your money local. And what they've determined is, rather than going to Walmart and literally sending your money overseas and the profit and all that stuff, is if you spend your dollars local, it multiplies 7 times, and it has a 7-time greater impact within your community. If it stays in your community, it'll literally, the buying power kind of expands 7 times versus getting a slightly better deal and buying it at Walmart and outsourcing your wealth to overseas. And this is exactly what we're talking about. And this is why we encourage you. And the other thing that I'm encouraging you that he didn't talk about, but he totally alluded to, these starving Chinese and these horror stories that he doesn't want to repeat, that we read about.
It sounds like cannibalism.
That we read about in scripture. And when these great famines took place, they would cannibalize. And look, they might not do, cannibalism might not become a thing in your HOA. It might, but it might not. But cannibalism in the concrete jungle, in the stack 'em, pack 'em, track 'em, and high 100%. And deep, it will. Matt, I didn't even get to tell you this. I'm gonna tell you a crazy story.
Okay.
So,
it's good if you're scratching your head.
So check this out. This is a crazy story. I haven't even told your mom about this one.
It's gonna be good.
So I went to visit my mom, and her health is not well, and she has a home health aide, and this lady is the sweetest. She's from Liberia.
Okay.
And she is just a gloriously wonderful person. She takes such good care of my mom. And
that's like the opposite of what I thought.
And check this out.
For the Northeast.
She's from Liberia. She's not from the Northeast.
Well,
so
I mean, I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
But so check this out. So she has a very thick kind of island accent,
Okay.
And so she's from Africa, and she kind of has like an islander type accent.
Cool.
So it was hard to track sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's telling me this story about a family member. I don't know if it was a sister or an aunt.
Okay.
And, she's first generation immigrant, right? And so was her family member.
Mm-hmm.
And her family member was in California.
Mm-hmm.
And her aunt knew Mandarin. So she was Liberian, but she knew multiple languages, and somehow she knew Mandarin. Well, there was these Chinese dudes in California. And so she was there. She was also in like the home health aid background or something. I don't know. This and she's like, the Chinese guys were talking in Mandarin, and they're saying, put her in the basement because we're going to eat her for dinner. And because now she was an immigrant, she didn't have an automobile, so she could only take public transportation. And she's like, the house she's at this real nice big house with a basement. It's not real remote or anything, but it's super spread out. So they didn't know that she knew what they were saying.
Oh, okay.
And so they put her in the basement, and she was like, she started praying, and she's like, these guys want to eat me. And
okay, wait, how did she get to this house again? Because she was working for them?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, she was working for different people, and she was referred to these people. And so she gets dropped off where she took public transportation there.
Okay.
And then she hears them talking, and they're saying that they're going to eat
These are two
her.
Chinese dudes.
Yeah. And they're speaking Chinese, they're speaking Mandarin, and they're saying, and so they put her in the basement. Well, she's able to escape.
What?
And she gets out. Yeah. And this lady is telling me the story. So like not nonchalant. She was very excited while she's telling me it. And that was in America. And that was not, I said, when did this happen? And she was like, this year. I was like, whoa, bro. So, there's all kind of crazy stuff going on, but that's a pretty crazy story. And that was like somebody that I just met. It was such a wild story. So I figured I would just share that. It's pretty wild stuff.
I wish we could have figured out more context to that. Huh.
It was,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, and this lady was absolutely not making up this story for the sake of telling a story.
Sure.
And I showed her pictures of y'all and was telling her about your business. And she was very thankful. She was like, thank your sons for me. That's what America's all about. It's cool. Just like being productive and producing and all. So it was awesome. Really cool. And she was such a sweet lady. I really enjoyed talking to her. And so Chinese people are eating people in California. So you heard it here first.
Wow. They don't only just eat cats and dogs.
Apparently.
Wow.
So
I was listening to a podcast that Jordan Peterson did with a lady from China, and just the starvation that they go through over there is insane. They were I forget what was happening at the time or whatever, but they didn't have any money to buy any food or whatever. So then a lot of the poor people there started eating the rats in the city. And then they ran out of rats to eat, and, I was like, it's really rough when you run out of rats in a city because you've eaten them all. But yeah, definitely, it would be insane if in these concrete jungles if people lost the internet, let alone McDonald's.
It's going to be insane.
It'll literally be the worst nightmare.
And
It'll
maybe,
be hell on earth.
Maybe it won't happen. I can see.
No,
okay,
but if it did
happen,
it would be
would
bad.
be. If it happened, it would be uncalculatable. You wouldn't be able to fathom what's going to happen. Personally, what I think, because they war game all this stuff out,
Sure,
and they social plan it, and they
just
let test balloons and all this stuff. And
literally
I think the way that they're going to plan to do the food rationing, I think they're going to do it through the fast food joints. So they're going to all get their daily kibble kind of thing of Z-Bug burger, and so if you want to eat, you're going to have to go to Mickey D's to get your McCricket or whatever. And I think
I think they're going to do it through the social credit score too.
Sure.
Be like, oh, if you want to shop at Walmart, you're going to have your card, and you're going to have to be up on all your injections and everything like that. So,
but yeah, wild stuff. But I wanted to talk. We always like to talk about these different food related items, and this was very interesting. It just came up on a Rumble, one of the Rumble channels I follow, and I thought it was very poignant, and I thought we could talk about it. And and this is why 10 years ago we moved, and this is why 5 years ago we started raising cows. This is why we planted 400 fruit trees.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen overnight, and you can start now. There's no time like the present to start. So we want to encourage and motivate people. And I'm going to be having a Idaho farmer on here soon as he checks his calendar.
That's awesome.
I talked to him today, so I'm looking forward to that. Somebody mentioned something about, did you hear about the fight in Idaho, water rights shutdown? So maybe I'll get into that with my new friend from Idaho. Idaho is like the Texas of the North. It's like all cowboys and just incredibly freedom-loving, God-fearing people. He was telling me, he's like, everybody in Idaho says they're a Christian. And I'm like, yeah, that's the same way here in Texas.
That's funny.
Everybody thinks they're a Christian or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. Well, Matt, in closing, do you have any closing thoughts or words of wisdom or anything before we sign off?
I mean, I would say, just to wrap it up, is just never too late. There's a lot of people that give up, they give up hope, for everything. And even with the crazy world that we do live in, our family's been able to reap a lot of amazing things. And there's been a lot of struggle along the way, but definitely start tomorrow or start today. Planning, setting goals. I can't state that enough, is that how the impact that will happen to your life for just setting simple little goals, keeping them somewhere that you can look at them every day, and pray about your goals and everything like that, and ask and it shall be given unto you, and seek and ye shall find. But yeah, it's just, even
and the Lord is going to provide, and if we're faithful, and if we yield to the light that the Lord gives us and the things that he shows us, and we're sensitive and we act on that, he will provide more light. It doesn't mean we're not going to suffer hardships. Doesn't mean that
persecution,
only good things are going to happen.
No,
but
there still will be winters. But we just have to prepare for those winters, and when they do come, so enjoy the good times and prepare for the winters ahead. So with all that said, y'all, I think that's the end of episode 56.
Episode 56. Remember, y'all, stay fearless, my friends.